Hey everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we're going to be talking about the new Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City trailer. Oh yes, it dropped a couple days ago, but we're talking about it now because I've been super busy with my Scream fan film, Red Right Hand, which just came out Friday. If you haven't seen that yet, it'll be right here for you to check out. Before I get into this trailer, I'm going to need y'all to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Also, please consider supporting me on Patreon if you want to see more videos like this and a continuation, like an actual feature-length continuation to Red Right Hand that I would like to get out sometime next year. Fingers crossed if we can get the funding. Link for that will be in the description below, and now let's get into it.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Well, I'm Pennywise the dancing clown.
Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast!
You son of a...
God, don't do that.
But sometimes that is better.
So starting off here, the beginning of this trailer kind of starts off with Claire and Chris Redfield, brother and sister, and it seems like she's going to be the focus of this new movie, meaning like it'll be her story from Resident Evil 2 opposed to Leon's story being like the main focus, which I don't really have too much of a problem with that. I think it's kind of weird that they're not doing the Resident Evil 3 story that happens simultaneously with the second story. I think it's kind of weird that they're not doing that in here and we don't have Nemesis or like any of that stuff going on. Kind of bizarre to me. I feel like if you're gonna make a movie about like the Raccoon City events and all the stuff that happens in the first game at the Spencer Mansion, why not just throw the third thing in there as like a B or C plot? I love Resident Evil 3, but I definitely feel like you could condense that into like a much smaller story about Jill being chased around by Nemesis and somehow have that converge with Claire and Leon's story. But it seems like they're not going that route. It's like maybe in a sequel they could talk about that and maybe like do the Code Veronica story, because they kind of allude to that later on. We'll get into that in a second though. So like I said, they are going to be focusing on Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2, the stories from those games in this new movie, which we see a lot of in the trailer. And I just want to say this trailer is so impressive. It looks just like how I'd imagine a movie about the actual games to look like. I like the Paul W.S. Anderson films. Honestly, I do. I think the first three movies are pretty fun. They're enjoyable, but they're not Resident Evil. That's my problem with it. It's almost like Paul W.S. Anderson wanted to make a Devil May Cry movie and didn't do that and instead made a Resident Evil film. And honestly, I'm pretty sure, I'm not 90% sure that's like what happened behind the scenes. They wanted him to make a Resident Evil thing because that was just like a bigger franchise from Capcom, and then you get those movies. They're fine, but they're just way too rooted in action when these are supposed to be like B-movie horror films about like the Umbrella Corporation and all that. You totally lost that in the W.S. Anderson films. I also really like Mila Jovovich. Like, she's a great actress. I really like her in these movies. Alice is a cool character, but she's not from the games. I don't know. Those movies are so weird to me. I love and hate them. I have a very love-hate relationship with them. That's why I'm very excited to see this much more faithful adaptation, and already from this trailer I can tell they're doing so many little just little tiny bits and pieces from the games they're bringing into this movie. So I'm very excited for it. I know a lot of people are upset with a few things that we're going to be talking about later, but I am just overall so pumped for this movie. I'm already predicting now it's going to be in my top 10 horror films of the year. We also see some quick shots of a very minor character from the second game, Ben Bertolucci, whose name is very difficult to pronounce, and I actually had to look it up because I completely forgot about this character. He's a journalist who's trying to take down the Umbrella Corporation. The fact that they're even including him in this movie is like, wow, attention to detail, holy shit. I played the original like first three games so many times, and the fact that even I forgot about that, I'm like, wow, okay, like they did their research, man, holy shit. The characters of both Jill and Wesker are seen at the Spencer Mansion, but we don't see them later on in Raccoon City. Obviously that's accurate to the story, but I was kind of hoping if they were going to converge these stories into one, that maybe like Jill and Wesker would somehow be in Raccoon City for whatever reason. It looks like Chris is going to be there later in the film too, which is a big change. So it's kind of making me think that Hannah John Kamen and Tom Hopper, who play Jill and Wesker in that order, I got that right, I can't believe that, they're not going to be in the movie that much, which is kind of sad. I like both of those actors. I would like to see them more in this film, hopefully. I also think overall, like, the casting for this movie is pretty phenomenal. I know a lot of people don't like Leon's casting. I'm sure he's going to be really good. It really doesn't matter if Leon's a white guy or not. So many people seem so upset about this, and it doesn't really matter to me. My one complaint though is that Wesker doesn't have the slicked back blonde hair and the sunglasses. That's the thing I'm the most upset about character-wise. Like, Tom Hopper is a great choice for Wesker, but he doesn't look like Wesker, and I feel like you could very easily change that with black sunglasses and a wig. Like, I don't know, kind of, that's a little bizarre to me. Jill doesn't have a beret, but like, I mean, you could lose the beret. I feel like that's not a huge deal. But the sunglasses are kind of an integral part to the plot of Resident Evil. If you played through the games, you kind of know why. We see the gas truck explosion, which is directly taken from the beginning of the second game, which I think is so cool, the fact that they have that in there. Once again, just another little like attention to detail thing that is so important to a Resident Evil film. I'm so excited for this fucking movie, holy shit. Ever since I saw that first Resident Evil movie and was like, this wasn't Resident Evil, like that was my immediate reaction the first time I saw that original film from like, what, 2003, 2004? I always wanted a like actual video game adaptation for this series. It's so much fun. I played almost every game in the entire franchise. I'm so pumped for this movie. I can't stop saying it. We also briefly see Chief Irons, who I don't know if he's going to play like a super like important part to the plot or not. I know like he's in the second game a little bit. He's also kind of a minor villain because he takes bribes from like the Umbrella Corporation, which is found out like throughout the game. So like I don't know if that's going to be like super important to the plot or not. Obviously they're going to be taking liberties, taking some things out, changing some stuff. I mean, they're making a 90-minute movie out of a really big story, the first two games. Like I said, I think it would be even a chore to like fit that third game in there somewhere. They probably just weren't able to do it, which is totally understandable, but it's still kind of weird to me that they're not having the other Raccoon City storyline in there when it's a movie about like all the events of the first two games. I don't know. It's weird to me. I'm gonna shut up about it. I love Resident Evil 3. Nemesis is like one of my favorite bad guys of all time, so kind of sad we're not seeing him in this film, but I would like to see him in a potential sequel if this movie does well. Fingers crossed. Now, it was reported a while back that this movie was going to kind of take like a hit with the budget because they wanted that R rating. They weren't gonna make this thing PG-13, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be reporting on it if they were making a PG-13 Resident Evil movie. Oh, hell no. So yeah, admittedly, some of the CGI doesn't look great. The CGI dogs look fine, and like the abomination creature later on is like, ugh. But like I said earlier, you can tell from the trailer, they paid so much attention to detail. Like they've taken things directly from the games. One of the scariest things, which I actually talked to my brother about this earlier, he said, honest to God, one of the most iconic and scariest images from a horror game is that very first Resident Evil when you see the zombie in like the white shirt very slowly turn his head around and look at you. And they recreate that shot in the trailer. I had goosebumps the first time I saw that on Thursday. I was like, are you kidding me? They put that in there? I was not expecting that at all. I was thinking like, okay, we'll go to the Spencer Mansion, we'll do some of that stuff at the beginning of the movie, and then we'll probably move on to the second story. But no, man, they paid so, like the attention to detail is phenomenal. It's the same kind of stuff that I loved about the Mortal Kombat movie. If you're a big fan of like the early Mortal Kombat games, they really just fucking killed it in that movie as well. It's total fan service. And I feel like this movie is going to be taking kind of the same route. We're going to be getting a lot of fan service with this film, so if you're a fan of the games, think you're gonna love this movie, but even if you're not, it's still gonna be an awesome zombie film at the end of the day. On top of all that cool stuff I was just talking about, like directly taken from the games, we also get a lot of cool shots of just straight up zombies. Like for example, we actually get shots of like zombies up against like a big like chain fence, which is like something taken directly from the games. At like any point if you're walking through Raccoon City, you can see like a big chain gate or whatever, and like all these like zombies are like shaking on it trying to get to you. That's like directly in this trailer. Another thing that's gonna be so awesome. We're gonna get actual like crazy zombies biting into people and shit, which like I know sounds weird to say, but like those Paul W.S. Anderson films kind of forget about that sometimes. Like sure, you get scenes like that in those movies, but then like it focuses on this like crazy like weird ass plot that has nothing to do with Resident Evil and just has some of the characters from the games in it. I know it sounds like I'm totally shitting on those movies. I actually really liked the first three, like I said earlier, but like, God, they missed so many opportunities of so many cool stories that are told through these games, but in those movies. And I'm so happy that they're finally taking the right direction with the Resident Evil franchise. There's two more things I real quickly want to talk about. They also show some shots of Lisa Trevor, who is like this little girl from the games that gets like all these experiments done on her. That's just kind of like the very brief synopsis of what happens to her throughout the games. She was an addition to the Resident Evil 1 remake game, if I'm remembering that correctly. So she'll probably be like at the Spencer Mansion scenes. I don't know if she's going to be like a big bad or anything like that, but maybe she'll be like a boss fight, so to say, at the beginning of the movie. And then we also get a shot of the Ashford twins. It's very quick, you might miss it in the trailer, but that's something that's focused on a little more heavily in Code Veronica, which is like a total side game that kind of takes place around the same time. I'm hoping that's kind of like setting up like a sequel that focuses on that story and maybe like the story of 3 too. Like I really want the story of 3 fleshed out in a movie because fuck, that game is so cool. Because I don't see them fitting into this plot line at all. Like there's already so much going on, like they're adding in the Lisa Trevor thing and all that, and everything else I just talked about in this movie like that's already confirmed. I don't really see them adding in like more stuff like that. Like maybe like little references and like hints for like possible sequels and setting up for that, but they're not gonna add it into this film, I don't think. What did you guys think about the trailer besides like the crazy song they put over that did not fit whatsoever? Leave me a comment about it down below. Thank you all so much for watching my new video on the Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City trailer. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Follow me on Twitter at KillJoyJake1 and all my other social medias like Instagram and TikTok. I'm not really super active over there, but like my Twitter, I'm the most active on. So follow me there. Support me on Patreon today so I can get some funding for the Red Right Hand Part 2, whatever the hell we're gonna call it. I really want to make this. I have a whole feature-length idea for it, so please check that out. The link for that will be in the description below. Thank you all again for watching, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.